All right, if you would stand with me, do the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much.
On Zoom, we have Dietrich covering it.
Oh, good. Okay, perfect.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Today is our special meeting briefing workshop agenda. We have a lot of topics to cover and they've been posted. So no formal actions will be taken. This is just informational and discussion. Public is welcome and encouraged to attend. Okay, first item on the agenda is Sweetwater project.
I can give a full briefing if you'd like.
Sure,
On the
please do.
entire,
Great.
as well as I can read it here.
Good.
So in Sweetwater Creek project, our interagency agreement will be required with the DNR to coordinate with them for any support on Portobello property. This type of agreement can be drawn up. I will suggest, due to the lack of time available in the office, that I get a table to at a future, regular meeting. It's, regarding, trying to get those trees cut down. We can always try to have our partners work an angle for that, but we still need to get a right of entry whole harmless agreement going with them before we can let them do any work on our property, of course.
Okay,
The cleanup process is still being explored by Salmon Enhancement Group on their parcel. Once updates are available, I will inform the commission. Getting a free consultation for the voluntary cleanup program will require at least half a day of filling out forms and such. As soon as I can find some time outside the regular port business, I will get it applied for.
okay,
Before any part of the Sweetwater Creek project is eligible to the open public, we need to, with a joint use of Port of Allen and the Canal Salmon Enhancement Group properties, a right of entry hold harmless agreement would need to be put in place. I have asked Vinnie Harlow to have their legal professionals produce what such a document would look like for the commission to consider. The pier repairs, invitation for consultation went out to Squaxin, Puyallup, and Skokomish tribes, tribal nations on May 10th. They have about 30 days to comment on the project and provide unintended discovery guidelines, holding pattern until the comments is received or the 30 days go without response. I've received they always get sent out with a read receipt.
Yeah.
2 of the 3 provided read receipt proofs. So they know, at least 2 out of 3 know about it.
okay,
My general practice is to reach out halfway through as a reminder, just as a courtesy, to make sure they didn't miss it.
great.
Green floats is in the process. I just got off the phone with Jason there to get the paperwork ready for the commission to see the repairs. Plan to have Bellingham Marine and Waterfront Construction for invitation to bid. I don't know if they'll be interested.
Did they get sent the bid?
No,
information?
I haven't been able to, I haven't sat down and called both of them yet, to be honest. And that will happen here in the next couple of days before Friday.
Okay.
It's just Bellingham Marine in the past has told me that they will not do anything on not their floats.
Oh, okay,
Okay, but we still have to contact as many in the area that are willing to do the work as possible.
Yeah.
Bellingham Marine would come in and put a whole new structure, but
Mm.
they don't want to work on other people's floats. If it was their floats, they would come in and fix. And Waterfront Construction, a little bit smaller company out of Seattle. When I say smaller, they still have nearly 20 employees.
Mm.
And they do full dock restoration as well.
Who is that?
Waterfront Construction
Okay,
out of Seattle.
all right.
Okay. Drinking Water State Revolving Fund, it's a mouthful, with the Department of Health, consolidation loan that we have been awarded. The current scope of work and budget estimates on the pre-contract provided by the DOH has been submitted to Northwest Water for endorsement. that the award will fall in line with the scope and estimate. The engineer that originally drafted the specification was out of the office until May 22nd, and actually Todd called me today and was interested in trying to put together a meeting because originally what Larry had him do was draw up the plans and get them ready for bid, but never sent them out to bid.
Okay.
Okay, so all they have is the building drawn, the pump, the engineering for it. And they haven't actually come up with a price on it, so to speak. And then they want to talk about this integration as well of the old. Because
The current line,
yeah,
yeah.
the current line, because the two systems, part of that scope of work is consolidating two systems.
Correct.
Can we get some input from Justin?
Sure.
Please?
Yeah, well, I saw him. I was
And-
just waiting until he was done.
Finish what you're saying.
And you know, I took all the information in, and there's still the possibility that we are gonna explore other engineering firms. It's just what I was looking for from
Todd.
from Todd there at Northwest Water was that we had a document from the Department of Health that needed to be signed off by an engineer that the budget scope and the scope of work was acceptable. And they're not quite ready to do that because they didn't feel like they've done all that work. Okay.
Jeff had a comment?
Yeah.
Another piece of that whole thing. Is basically that booster plan that was prepared for. Remember that had DOH approval process and that's really, so. You know, I hear what you're saying, I'm a little guarded about, well, if you went through DOH to approve, didn't figure out how much it's gonna be.
And that's,
How do we know to ask for 120, 100, whatever? Without some comprehension of how that would be.
and I was a little confused in the conversation because that was my understanding too, is that those numbers were provided by Northwest Water originally back in 2021.
Yeah, he would have had to do that
All right.
to get
So
them.
it seems like they want to go back and do
2000.
work that seems to have been already done.
Okay,
And I just left it at that because I was like, well, I need to, you know, make some arrangements, make some phone calls. They wanted to know who was gonna be the project manager on it. And I told them, well, I'm gonna be the
Yeah.
project manager. Because that's paying you guys to be a project manager is what's causing these excessive costs.
Right.
So they're like, okay, well, you need to get a hold of DOH, and a few other agencies so that we can actually have a conference about this. And I'm thinking, well, why can't you just do the work that we're asking
Right.
for? And come up with a price.
Exactly, because you could be the project manager, just, get with some
So-
feedback and just basically, it's like. You're just managing the labor force and they come in and do what they're supposed to do. They don't. need to
So
manage
we've
themselves.
already reached, or I've already reached out to West Sound Engineering, another local firm that does a lot of smaller water system
Right.
work. I do have cards from the conference of
Yeah.
3 firms, maybe 4, I think. Only 2 of them really kind of felt like they had what was necessary to be able to help us.
mhm,
It's that is a major priority right now for us, is to get that money secured for that consolidation road, along with the next topic, which is the expansion of services on the Allyn and Cary water system.
you had a question or comment? Go ahead.
I have also personally made an application to SM for an extension of the water system. Once that becomes available,
Mm-hmm,
to start that whole thing. Actually, I'm submitting 3 different applications to,
Hmm.
because I don't know.
the West Sound, you mean,
West Side.
with a different scopes of work
Yes.
type thing? Okay,
And the reason is, I'm gonna have to sell a property because of water and sewer. I know I know what basically has to be done, but because we don't know where we are with the scope, you know, the booster.
Yeah,
I'm handing in 3, so 1 is the extension of existing services to an area. And then another is extension of sewer to this existing area. The third being a booster,
Okay,
Okay,
because I don't know where this is gonna fall. I don't know where the money's gonna work out. And I know there's prevailing wage issues at certain points, and so. You know, there may have to be some agreement at some point between me and the board on something. I don't know yet. I don't have a good feel. Part of the reason I also pointed Travis in that direction is that their lead times seem to be significantly less in turning work around. Because I've contacted a few others and some are not taking any.
I've used West Sound. They've actually been really good. A little pricey, but they're good. Yeah,
Same thing, and I
yeah,
instantly had, remember Dan Winsford.
Yeah.
I'd have him do it, but he's working, he's close to retirement. On a state project, they've had them sign an agreement that he can't do other projects.
Hmm.
While he's working for the state.
Hmm.
So, because he knows how to look like.
he was original.
Well, I mean, he knows like.
Yeah.
And cost. Significantly less, and he's obviously, very easy to work with.
Yeah, gosh, it's been a long time.
Yeah, that's background to this whole thing about the piece.
Yeah,
right.
So there's a push coming from me, it's, whatever the board does, but I'm just letting you know. That I'm, either way, I'm gonna have to get this worked out.
Yeah,
So, because I don't know what I'm selling, I can't ask for certain prices and I can't tell them what kind of services we got,
yeah, exactly.
for the properties.
right. Okay,
See where I was here. So we're continuing on the consolidation loan. I mentioned the three companies that I ran into at the WPPA conference. We were taking it with them as well. There's also a pre-contract meeting to be scheduled first part of June. I sent you an email on it. Michael had interest in coming there, so said Michael and I, unless either one of the other commissioners would like to attend. Of course, the invite's closed on May 19th. So it's basically just administrative bits and
Mhm.
information about it. It's not really has anything to do with the engineering or anything. But along those lines, that's why I sent that out to Northwest Water to, because they had the original design. They could have easily either approved that scope of work and stamped it, and we could have sent it on for the next process.
right,
But they don't feel comfortable with that apparently. So we will
yeah, I see.
have to investigate some other options.
Their plan is stamped.
Yeah, their plan is stamped, but the scope of work from the pre-contract from the Department of Health is just a money thing for them.
But I
Mhm.
personally, if it was much, I lean on it a little bit because why did we get a stamped health department approved? We had to know the cost. Have to.
Well, that's true.
Logically.
Using their stamped engineering though, yeah. But that was the one that was way out of line though, right?
So they claim that they did the analysis on the building, but not the parts inside. That's what Todd told me.
No, they did not. They
Yeah,
did not
quit,
look
yeah,
at
quit.
zoning, they did not look at your area, they did not look at stuff, seriously. Results, if you look at the whole report, the whole 29-page report, you will see they go to areas where they, even if you forget about the internal debts, you totally forget about it. They didn't take into consideration how long a line you'd have to run. And what kind of cost that would be.
Yeah, he did mention that about the length of the line.
Yeah,
He didn't have a number on that.
no, I understand. But.
So what are you saying? Lean on DOH?
Northwest Water.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, we need to exactly find why we spent $22,000.
Right.
Well, the reason, but the reason that I conversed with Travis about this is because of how we need to get this DOH thing, scope of work line up. We know it's a booster, okay? The problem is if we change the design of booster, it's gotta go back to DOH. Okay, I'm not saying we're gonna do that design, but that gives you a concrete number for the plan you have, so it ties down the rent or the loan.
Yeah,
You're trying to tie down the loan, because otherwise, we're 180 days from having.
Yeah,
it
true.
tied down,
true.
and that's gonna waste heck with the funding.
Yeah.
That's smart. That's
So
smart.
just use what we got then, I guess, right?
Yeah, and that's why I tried to submit it in the first place.
Yeah,
You know, to
I
try
guess
to
the
get
hard
that
part is-
process going, so. Well, it'll be another phone call.
Okay.
You know, I'm trying to grasp what we paid, and why why that amount of money didn't buy us. Sure, they'll tell us,
Yeah, they're just trying to get more money out of us, don't you?
feels like it.
They probably didn't do it right to begin with, so they're just trying.
Of course, there's a topic in here about Northwest Water as well, so.
We'll get
And something that we've come across here recently is the fact, and it's kind of been staring us in the face, is that the purchase of the Allyn water system, now under the port's ownership, expanding its serviceable connections is a priority. We have contractors wanting to hook up to the system infrastructure, yet the capacity is technically full according to where it is with the DOH.
Go ahead.
Technically, it's not full, it's like, it's approved to a certain size.
Right. Yeah, it's approved to a certain size, but it has engineered capacity for
I
more.
only had water rights to serve one team.
Right. But we have more, so,
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. But here's the thing, as far as versus with Travis also, that I believe that you could do an interim where you amend my plan. First of all, they'd have to review my plan.
okay,
Might need some- But for basically amendment, to say, okay, let's say 14, so 44.
okay,
And the reason I say that is
So-
in Dan's chart, which I'm not yet.
Yeah, no, we're working on this together because this is a pretty heavy, because we've got contractors ready to give us money right now. And
Yeah.
technically, we don't have the serviceable capacity on that system.
So, a chart that Dan Busby provided me, which has to go through an engineer review. And it can't be Dan, but basically it lists the size of my system. What system? Your new system. Habits die hard. These phraseology. That, well, it's only like approved up to 14. Currently. With the bladder tanks you have in there, once you go above it, believe it or not, you can go to 44 with 4 bladder tanks.
okay,
Meet the peak of
Yeah,
demand.
yeah.
If that's not enough, you can add 1 bladder tank and that gets to 54. The worst case is add 1 bladder tank, and you're gonna be, you can have 54 instead of 14.
so the bladder tank is a standard,
Looks
Yeah.
blue.
yeah, okay.
Well, those
gotcha.
only cost $100 and some, right?
No.
No,
Right.
that's a little bit more
It's
expensive.
about 1200.
Yeah.
1,200, oh, okay, these are
The
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 really
big
big
tank.
ones. Okay,
Be a big,
one in my house is a little different.
But it's very much more cost effective.
Mhm.
To me, it's like everything is the same, you're not changing anything, so. The only problem you have is you have an obsolete plant, mine.
Right,
But it's out of date, but
but we could amend that one.
yeah, I.
To bring it up.
Bring it up, or amend it or something. And see, and the reason I say amend is in the end, the port had, remember a long time ago, we talked about that. Port's gonna have to do a plan that brings this all together.
yeah.
Right,
I'm not talking about bringing the whole plan together, because that's a few weeks or months of work. What I'm really saying is, take what we got, use what we've got, and see if we can't get Department of Health and say, okay, we have a system, it's through this, and we amend this until we go through the whole process of redoing our plan. Side note, the port's plan expires, as I recall, in 4 years. With the current planning has, so it's not like they're totally reworking
right,
from scratch.
So what I need to do, or what's for me to understand, like, is, and we're gonna have more of these meetings, right? Is take the big picture, break it into chunks and little pieces.
Sure.
And we already talked about, we need to be looking at the policy and like, what do we do first? What's next? Like, when it comes to making what we have right now work, which is what you're speaking to directly. And then go from there. I wanna see that kind of laid out, together.
Right, and I would say there would be pieces that are most of the floor pieces of us on the outside.
Yeah,
That could facilitate different things.
that's what I mean. Exactly, and whatever, I don't know what that all looks like yet.
So
Right.
basically, you have to. You go to the Department of Health and say, this is what I need
Yeah,
updated,
I need.
and that's all,
yeah,
that
I
should
need- I
take,
need to
right?
ask them to update Jeff's plan, but it'll also have to go through the engineer.
Yes.
So so we were talking about this like several weeks ago, like how to deal with all these different moving pieces, right? And then you take each project as a project manager for each project and put it together, and then we can start filling in the blanks with these workshops to help figure out what's next, and then we can go crazy with the big picture and then just dial it in to these little things that we gotta do. That's how my mind works.
Probably the smartest thing is use my volunteer time.
Well, I like
That was the
that.
plan.
I've already started with them fast and furious.
But who's counting?
He is now.
Okay.
Um,
All right.
but to lay out the big pieces, it's okay. I mean, technically, I know where you have it. So I can go to Travis and say, okay, here's the big picture, and then these are the supporting pieces. And
Yeah.
you guys be priority.
Right.
The bottom line is, he wants to keep the system healthy, you don't want anything done. Number two, you want to be able to pay, get paid for all the things that are out there and outstanding.
Mhm.
Number three, you want to be able to get new numbers. Quickly. Is okay.
Right. So the
I mean,
first,
that's real big.
That's the big picture. That's where you start.
But I'm saying there's even the bigger one above that, that says, okay, where do we create the water system plan, which governs all this?
Right.
And where do we do, and another checks and balances, can you see an amendment?
Yeah.
And two, how we work with Northwest Water, because
Yeah.
we both comparing notes.
Not the governing veil.
And both of us have seen failures to our system as well as your system with regards to Northwest Water in handling that.
so that's the first thing then.
Yeah, and
Just
actually,
get rid of them.
with segueing there, I'd like to skip all the way down to the Northwest Water Management.
This is where they're-
To literally go
Yeah.
over the fact that my overall impression
Yeah.
of the service received from Northwest Water is definitely a 4 grade. We've got missampling, billings by the minute on questions and tasks that should be included in overall satellite management services.
Okay.
Possibly excessive engineering and lack of response time at the home office leads me to want to explore other options. And just another another example is the conversation I had with Todd, where it seemed like we had paid for something and we aren't getting all of that out of them 2 years, 3 years later.
Yeah.
And I purposely waited to, do anything on it because Todd was out of the office for a week and a half. I'd sent this out, gosh, almost 2 weeks ago. He was on vacation.
Okay.
And we didn't want to have another engineer look at it and have it cost us extra
Right.
time
Right,
because he was familiar with the project.
Okay.
But I've had recent conversations with Jim Freeman, at District 2. And a resident here in District 2 of the Belfair, he's a manager, of course, of the Belfair Water District. And he's offered to let us run under his license for a year.
yeah, I ran into him at McClendon's and he mentioned that, so
How does that work?
that's,
So, he has a grade of license that allows him to be what you would call a satellite management company in himself.
Okay.
But of course, he works for the Belfair Water District. That license is not the Belfair Water District's license, it's Jim's license.
Oh, really? Okay.
Okay,
That's helpful.
so Jim could come in and set us up as, he basically said is, I will only let you do it for a year.
but it's a
And you
start,
have to get yourself under your own feet,
okay,
which is fair.
that's fair,
So what-
that's great.
So do we need to just find somebody else's license, or do we get our own?
No,
license?
no. So during that year, I wouldn't say that myself is a good candidate for this because I am inundated with
Yeah,
all the
no.
other tasks of running the port. But I have talked about it a little bit with Justine. About, learning the process. And I've also, conversated with Jeff Weldon as well about talking about pros and cons, and maybe he would be interested in volunteering some time to,
Maybe
you know,
Jeff
get
wants to
us,
stay in the water business.
get us into a position where Northwest Water isn't our option,
No?
or any other satellite company.
Once you go through divorce, you go through the divorce.
Yeah. It's an annulment.
Well, it's a number, yeah,
And-
it's not a divorce, it's a number.
And it's not even impossible for commissioners to have some of this knowledge or
Sure.
actual accreditation. So,
I see you, Jeff, just a second. Go ahead. Oh, go
it,
ahead.
it literally would allow us to take control of the water
Yeah.
system completely.
I think we need to be accountable to, I think it would be better for.
So is that a
us.
contract we do with him then?
You know, I haven't explored any further
I
than, you
think
know, his
so.
offer. You know, that's something that, I could, talk to him during this week and,
See what that entails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, and see if he'd be willing to come to a regular meeting.
I mean, when you explore that, it'd be nice, if not just, I mean, I love a gentleman's agreement, it's a good handshake, but it'd be nice to have something.
You know, and it
middle,
didn't seem like he thought that it needed to be anything more than that.
Okay,
You know, you know, I've conversated with Jim, oh gosh, at least half a dozen times in the last 2 months.
Mhm.
but if he got angry or
Because
something,
every now and then, if I have a question about something, I'm like, you know what, I don't have to bother Jeff with this one. I can bother Jim.
What
can
were
you
you gonna
explain why
say,
we need
Jeff?
him?
Oh.
I don't get, I'm sorry, why do we need him? Say, just in a
So,
nutshell.
because he has a license that we would have
Right.
to have to be able to manage our own water system. He has specialized training that you have to have on file with the Department of Health in order to run your own water system.
How long does it take to get that training?
Not very long. I think you can require the training in less than 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay,
It's just a matter of literally taking courses and passing tests. So,
Okay, Jeff, go ahead.
I've also worked, you know, had discussion with Travis, most of these things I've had discussion with Travis, which I appreciate. What I proposed, and the waivers, not me, honestly. You know, it's good. But to look at other firms. It may be steps along the way, because you have different issues, okay, you have your insurance. And there's, if you, yes, you would be able to do it, I feel cheaper in-house. But you have to look at, you know, where your insurance, you have to look at these different things. And the reason I say maybe get a third party like Northwest Water, but say like H2O Water, which runs a park. They run seven other little systems in Mason County,
HTO,
you know, H2O.
Oh,
water,
okay.
water management.
that's the name of it, H2O
Yeah.
management?
Yeah.
Sorry,
No, you know,
okay,
you know that. Sure, that's,
Okay,
but they take on smaller systems, and currently they're running a 225 connection with Oak Park.
okay,
Okay. And the reason I say that is we got, I mean, you know, kind of this issue about you saying, look at the big picture and the hierarchy, these different things.
Yeah.
Mentally, and I don't mean anything against the board, mentally I take on like, I'm running the show, the whole, like I'm responsible for all three, you know, what would I be concerned about? What are the risks, what are the liabilities, and saying, okay, with all these things going on with budgets, with all these things going on with the water system, all the problems we're trying to get fixed. Do we bring on another level of responsibility at this moment, or do we delay it?
right,
You know, because we got a lot. I'll just say, we have a lot of opportunities. And a rule of thumb, especially if you're not in a competitive business where you don't have another competitor coming in, that kind of thing. Is not to jack up all the pressure of all the different things you're trying to do.
Sure.
When you come from a point of a real problem, like with the budget, where we haven't settled what it's gonna be, but we got a number of years to work through this. And we don't, I say we, the community, the port, nobody needs any extra opportunities that might arise in trying to do it. I agree, it would save money. But from doing it from, you know, like a CEO view, you say, okay, what's the risk? Where are we right now? What can we do? What can we handle? What kind of manpower?
right,
And then say, okay, maybe we look at some other firm. But I am wholeheartedly supportive of looking elsewhere besides Northwest Water, because I experienced the same thing a little differently that the port did, where not for so much for charging, but from the from the issue of the lead sample. I knew I was gonna have more tests to do, especially before the water system went over to the port. That was never clear what those numbers were gonna be, and it's gonna move target, but that's fine. I don't want any ruffled feathers. I want it smooth. But in the process, supposedly we were supposed to do lead samples last September. We never did. I wasn't aware of it. And they're my satellite agency, so they're supposed to tell me. I get a notice April 10th or 11th at 1 a.m. in the morning. Because DOH has a schedule thing.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, I know. I was so surprised because I didn't expect to see something from DOH at 1 a.m. in the morning. Saying that we're in violation and, you know, this, and you must notify these and you must do these different steps. And I must a letter saying that their form, which then I wrote a letter because when you read their form, it sounds like
Guilty.
you got a problem.
Yeah, no, it
Yeah.
does insinuate that
And
you
in
are
reality,
absolutely guilty.
all it's saying is we need to take this sample, and in our system, the only chance of points of contact of any lead at all are the meter setter harbor right there, and all those are lead free, and the 200-foot link, you know, galvanized drop line that's in for the well. That's it. All the rest is, you know, PVC or, you know, plastic.
Which we need to change.
So then I'm having to explain this to all my users, even though it's at that point where, right, the throws are sliding over to you, but, you know, I had to go through it, and we got the samples and we submitted, and we'll see, you know, I haven't seen anything come back, but I'll make sure that if it comes back, I'll make sure.
Well, Jeff, I do kind of share some of your concerns too, because running the water system and being totally responsible, that would add a lot. And so I would like to try to see if we can investigate.
And like I said,
Others.
I really can't put any of my own time
No,
into it.
no.
So there, we do have a little bit of a balance situation there that we would have to try to explore. And, you know, jumping on Jim's option is not something that we're gonna do lightly,
Right,
I'm sure.
right.
I'm sure the commission would like to really consider that.
Well, I
But
think it'd be,
it might be something that if we're not running under Jim's license currently, we're still exploring that option.
Well, yeah,
Training.
it's
with
an
the
interim.
rest of our staff.
It's an interim fix.
mhm,
And as we move to get somebody else, so I'm in agreement with Jeff. I mean, to me, it's almost a no-brainer. So, because when we're learning something new, you're gonna make mistakes. We can't afford any mistakes.
Right.
So, to have somebody come in at a nominal rate, and do what they already do really well, especially if they're reputable like H2O is, right? I mean,
yeah, or even Jim. I mean, at least
And
working
Jim.
under Jim and getting us.
But we can
trained
do
up.
both angles. at the
I mean, we're
same
not here to make
time.
decisions. We're just here to get direction, right?
Yeah.
You know, we could-
And I could get you more information on H2O for the next meeting.
Yeah, we can do both at the same time, though. Start doing the training, start figuring out how to do it
Mhm.
and setting it up. And then that way, when time is right, we can pick up.
yeah. Well,
Nate Cormier, I used to have to do water tests.
I mean, it would be good to have the training, but I don't think it'd be good for anybody in-house to carry that license. I really, might be wise if someone had it for the oh crap factor.
Yeah.
You know, seriously, things happen, but as far as doing regular business, I would be against it. I just think it makes sense. That's why there are companies that do this.
No, we'll investigate, yeah.
And they always gonna put more pressure and more stupid on it anyway. And so as far as the state goes, you know, now they're putting news out there across the nation going, all the water's bad. I don't know if you're seeing.
Yeah,
that.
I saw that.
Okay, and then also I'm just gonna throw this out
We're
there.
not supposed to drink water.
And this is real. We have a family member, Shelley, that passed away of pancreas cancer, and years ago her husband did, who was friends with Randy Netherland. And they live up in Lynch Cove, and they're finding, and I'm not saying that so anyway, my concern is with the community, and some of the illnesses that are developing, in different parts of the country and locally. The water's a serious thing, so the galvanized pipe's gotta go, you know, like.
But it may not go. It depends how to say this. That may not be the issue. You may
I'm not saying it is.
You may. For example. Beers Cove. They're
That's what I'm talking about.
they're replumbing it, galvanized in the well. Not saying that's the other issue that's coming in is what they call the PFAS.
The what?
It's abbreviation, PA something.
Oh,
It's the forever chemicals
Oh, sure.
and,
Mm,
You can't get them out of the water, no matter how many times you filter.
but we haven't even been tested. I started looking at testing when we're in the middle of the negotiation here, but I not got
okay,
But there's that. And-
yeah,
And at least one thing we do know that you have a report, because of one of the different angles you're taking through this 3-year process of acquiring our system.
yeah,
You have a very tight well. Very tight. Meaning it's 397 down, it's 1/3 of that distance, it's in 3 different confinement layers. Meaning you can literally dump crap at the well, and it's never gonna touch it.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
And it's just never get to the water because of these confinement layers and what they do in the first 20 feet of the well.
wow.
these confinement
How do
layers.
they do the confinement? Do they,
No, I
put-
mean, it's.
it's because of the layers of the material?
Right.
It's with
Okay,
grounds.
gotcha.
So there's
Okay.
different materials and there's 130 some odd feet of confinement layers going down.
So basically, any contamination's gonna come from someplace else.
Well, it might come in the
I
top
wouldn't
confinement
say,
layer.
I wouldn't
Yeah,
advise this
we
to
wouldn't.
anybody, but they tell me that you could literally open my cap, their cap, and drop something down. And it's, because it's not gonna get into the aquifer, because it's on a static pressure and it's not. So what we're trying to say is it's a tight well.
That makes sense.
And I remember when I talked to Tyson Carlson, aspect engineering for the water rights side. It's so tight that raises a little issue with water rights and how the cone of compression works.
Oh, I see,
Because it's so tight
yeah,
that,
we're stealing it.
yeah.
Okay, got
In
it.
other words, there's an impact.
It's like a vacuum.
Theoretically, there might be a minor impact on Sugar Creek,
Right?
but it's because it's so tight. So
Okay,
anyway,
Interesting.
you get one blessing one way and one curse. the
Okay.
other. But so I'm saying there's supporting documents that say,
okay,
it's as good as you're ever gonna get there.
okay,
So now, if they end up and eventually doing tests for PFAS on that well. That means, if they do, that means everybody's got it. Everyone, because that material's in the second or third aquifer down. That opens up out here about 13,000 feet in the bay to lead into the
Mhm.
bay. And it comes from somewhere that way.
I'm pretty sure that like the nearest site that has a confirmed high population of it's over in Bremerton. It's, these forever chemicals, it takes a lot for them to get to the water.
Hmm.
But they get,
But they do get there, and once they get there, they're impossible to move.
and there's processes for removing. That's funny you say that. Northwest Water has a problem with Clear Creek, one of the systems they run and manage.
Mhm.
And so, yeah,
Yeah,
and I don't know what they're doing. But they made the news.
really?
Really?
And it wasn't totally flattering.
Wow.
So just, little tidbits.
the
Okay.
community well made the news or Northwest Water in terms of what they did?
Well, I'm saying from the standpoint of an organization that's satellite managing, we might be a little guarded
Oh, okay, fair enough,
because they have a problem and not,
yeah,
they haven't dealt with it always maybe. the
So
way-
you're saying Northwest
well,
has
At
it
least in
bad.
my opinion.
Yeah.
It's- it's,
They've
it's not-
had some issues over the last.
I mean, we already have a rating here that's moving us in a different direction.
Right.
Informally.
And I can say that I didn't make it to the report, but the engineer that we've been working with, Ryan Frank.
Mhm.
He actually doesn't work for Northwest Water.
Okay.
He has moved on to in his words, start his own management firm to work with smaller systems.
What's his name?
Ryan Frank.
Is that an option?
He
He's the
said
guy
he would
who's-
contact me when he's settled.
Okay,
So
all right.
I don't know where that's going.
Was he a good guy?
I
to
don't
work-
actually have contact for him anymore.
If he has a no compete clause, it
So-
could be interesting.
Was he a good
If
guy
he's
to work
interested,
for?
he will contact us apparently, because I told him that please do reach out when you get settled.
Okay,
Uh,
question?
So he was a good guy to work with then?
You know, kind of mixed. I mean,
And I would say mix.
yeah, I mean, I felt like when I talked to him, he was well informed. But, you know, that doesn't mean that, you know, he doesn't, you know, decide that we need more than we need.
It could be management.
Yeah.
Also.
And to be frank, our engineering for this booster pump and everything else has always been stamped by what I perceive as their head engineer Todd. Because everything we've had.
Yeah,
had
it
this
was
stamp on it.
designed by Frank.
It wasn't, yeah, it was designed by.
Okay, well, let's move forward.
Sure.
What's next?
Let's continue on water system until we can
Okay.
finish it up. Memory care engineering. A meeting has been scheduled with Robert Baglio, who is the general contractor for the memory care project on the 30th of May, a week from today at 11:30 a.m. Jeff has agreed to meet me there with his expertise to help get a handle on the engineering provided by the Robert's firm. If the commissioner would like to attend, please let me know. Some variation between original disclosure to the port back in late 22, early 23 on engineering particulars will be a key point to be discussed. Because, you know, engineering that they provided for me as their official plan has some variations and some concerns that both Jeff and I definitely have.
Okay,
So hopefully we can see
Wade
what their
through
plan
that,
is.
yeah.
Because it looks like they're gonna have to double sleeve our water line. Which is a huge expense. 'Cause it's gonna be too close to sewer.
Actually, they would double see the sewer,
Yeah, oh, double sleeve.
The other way.
Okay, the other way around.
but it doesn't matter. Other than they're putting the sewer, so it's cheaper than trying to sleeve it.
And I'm sure they're aware of it, but Northwest Water did send a letter out saying that they had to move their water line 20 feet.
Not Northwest Washington.
Washington Water, I'm sorry. So Washington
oh,
Water.
okay,
Washington Water sent a letter that I have in the emails. That they would have to move the line 20 feet with their current plan.
So.
why is that?
Well, I don't.
Okay,
And when I'm at this meeting, I'm not speaking for the court, I'm just gonna point out things,
yeah,
you know, like. Well, that's not following the construction plans, specs of the courts, I mean, something of that nature. All the points I raised, I looked back through some here, so I'm not gonna be like, I'm gonna be volunteer like I'm supposed to be. I'm just gonna say what's there and then.
thank you.
So,
No, that's
and generally,
awesome.
I'm just going to take notes and, you know, report back.
report.
I have a feeling that this particular meeting will probably turn into a second meeting with their engineer. Because I don't know if the general contractor will have the ability to say about the changes.
There's a number of things, in my opinion, looking at their construction specs. And then Mary, it's my knowledge and what I've run into. That say, you know, there's a lot of loose ends, I can count at least 20.
Wow,
I mean, from everything from why are we doing 2 taps?
Yeah, so, yeah.
Because you're only tapping from an 8-inch, so why would you put a 3 and a 4 and an 8 together, you know, together? To like, on this issue of the moving Northwest Water.
Washington Water, yeah,
We don't, nobody knows exactly where it is, to start there. We know it's somewhere roughly in the 60-foot range of Sullivan Island. It could be totally on the, Jamerson's neighbor. And in which case, then there's no, in my mind, there's no issue about addressing the land or anything.
Wow.
But so, I mean, there hasn't been an investigation. In other words, if, and I don't believe this engineering firms who look at certain things. From a standpoint, okay, forget they should know to look for specs from the board.
mhm,
But there's no looking at some of the requirements, even like with growth management. with the comp plan for the Allyn, which, so if you take the comp plan for the Allyn and take their specs, you're supposed to cite or look ahead of what, in other words, they draw to a certain point and this is it. Well, that's only half the problem. Yet they give a presentation from a Travis company that if successful, they'll extend it. Well, you have to build in the capability to
Right.
extend it. There's parts in there that talk about where you put the water line relative to the walkway or the driveway. And they're out of sync with that. There's no provision for backflow preventers. And the way they're doing it is you're gonna have to put an 8-inch backflow preventer. The problem with that is it's 6 feet in length at least. It's above ground. Because you gotta be able to drain away.
Mm-hmm.
Then you gotta protect it from freezing. And these are all these issues. The reason I'm bringing it up is not because this is a fun thing to do. Okay? The reason I'm bringing it is it's liabilities to the port at different points in time. So for example, if the port's charging a fee, you have to have, that's why we had some of those new rates. You have to be able to, if something fails, to
Right.
repair it.
Yeah.
Right,
And these are starting to get a little bit bigger than your, single family residence type connections.
Under their current plan, the port and the port's water policy system, they would be receiving 3 individual bills for their water service. Because they have 2 separate meters that are off of our main trunk. They're not subject to one or the other. And then they also have their fire flow. Those are 3 separate.
So those are
bills.
big questions. Why that, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's, you could make one that's, but there's, like in the spec, and I know others have this, is that they
Oh,
make a right angle, okay? Which on an 8-inch is a fun thing to do,
oh,
which you can do.
sure, but blowouts later, right?
The thrust blocks, you have to.
Well,
put
they
in
talk
there,
about thrust blocks, but then they give a length, how far the thing is away and what you have to do. Well, they draw it like you're within 20 feet, but the spec, when you're over 20 feet, you gotta go to the next size pipe.
Okay,
Just crap like that. It's gonna be a rework when it's all said and done. And I'll try not to cite.
well, it's like the engineer probably doesn't think about these extra costs that it's gonna cost them for these hookups.
The other thing is you need to know, even though we established it for the rates, we're not based upon monthly count, we need to know what the peak flow is in that. So,
Oh, yeah,
because I'll dictate some things.
okay,
So anyway, I'm just saying, there's
Okay.
18 to 20 different, in my opinion, misses. And some are minor, but a lot of them, if you go back in the night, that connection issue and that.
okay,
Oh, my favorite
A
one.
simple one is literally
Yes.
the transformer is literally looks like it's like maybe barely 5 feet away from a fire hydrant.
that's crazy,
Now, there is a spec that says, when you have a telephone, power pole,
right?
your fire hydrant has to be at least 5 feet away from them.
Pole,
Okay, fine, that, pull
But
one
that's-
thing,
right.
it's up there.
Yeah,
But they got 5 feet away from a
Ground vault.
transformer, not just a, ground mount. but a
Yeah, right,
transformer.
yeah. Sure, above ground or below ground.
all right.
This is
So you
Okay.
can see that there's a little work to be done.
All right. Just so
Okay.
everybody knows, I gotta be out of here at 23. I don't know what the
Sure.
plan for the rest
Sure.
of the
Okay.
workshop is.
So we have the second closing on the Allen Carry Water System. That one's still waiting on as-built and finalization of the road vacation, which I think is what, tomorrow?
Well, okay, so the hearing on the road vacations occurred.
Right, the hearing deferred, but it's actually signing the,
Looking at how fast the county and going through vacations. I think ours is 416, 417, or 470, 418. They just. made their approving 415. And it's every 2 weeks, the county, so we're probably still.
well, 2 weeks out.
At least on the vacation. And I may have to pick a different set, I may have to go find another survey. I don't know what happened.
I've even called West Memphis with them, so.
West Sound surveys,
Talking
and they were quick for me. So,
about it.
huh?
I'll get it.
Yeah,
Cause I provided, when we built the price back in October. I called them. Right on there. So I get you an idea.
That's
You know,
a little,
the other
little bit
guy-
of a wait.
the other guy who did my surveying, he's quit West Sound, but he works for Jamestown now.
Oh, yeah, that,
So, and he was real good, so he might come down. He didn't really want to last time I talked to, because he lives up by Swim now, but,
yeah, and actually, Lakeland hired him.
oh, okay, okay,
on something there.
okay,
But I'll get those.
All right,
okay,
I'll start grinding through this here.
okay. Sorry.
Security camera reintegration, Astound broadband is the only option for getting internet coverage to the North Shore. To connect the camera system, coverage was in place before, but it was not being used, so it's canceled to save money on something that was not serviceable. Now the cameras have been recovered. The office is looking into whether it's budgetable to service them again. Previous service was $214 a month for the internet coverage. It looks like we might be able to get that down to $120 a month, but I don't think we're gonna get it any lower than that.
What about Starlink?
Starlink would cost us at least $100 a month with a $500 or more startup fee.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
And we don't know if that would be a fast enough speed yet. We're gonna explore, it's finding out if it can actually service there. Before the cameras can be fully reset and connect to the internet, we'll need a man lift to be able to get up to the cameras, 'cause it's too dangerous to do by ladder.
I told you,
Yeah.
just let me know when
Sure.
I'll get a map.
And that would be in the final stages of recovery and connection to the system. We would have to have all the other pieces in place.
Sure, just let me
And
know.
it may be a 1 to 2 day operation in case there's some kind of hiccups. Because we might have to take them down and reset them.
You have one of those, Judy?
Set them up there.
No, I go rent one though, and I know how to operate it,
Oh,
so.
Perfect. The PUD street lighting sunset date. That's
That's
what
good.
we haven't really addressed since we talked about it. And the sunset date is the 20th of June.
I sent out, in the North Bay Review, I mentioned it, but I just haven't written anything up either to see if we could get people to
So,
be aware of it, see if they'd be willing to
the
help.
way the contract reads is if we don't ask for it to be canceled, it just renews on a 1-year basis. Year-to-year basis.
how much is that each month?
It's about
400 and
400
something.
That is
on
just-
average.
Well, what about if we
Irritating.
cancel it and then Alan goes dark and then they'll get mad, but then they'll volunteer. That's terrible, but I really do need to, or we need to try to get the word out.
The thing about it is that, the reality is that we are having trouble paying for these things.
Yeah,
And
I see, Jeff.
22 lights
Yeah,
go dark.
I know. That's ridiculous.
And,
We gotta do
one
that.
thing that was brought up to me by Karen at the EDC when we were talking about it, is that, there's a whole safety aspect there.
It's all safety. I mean, that's,
And,
as soon as those lights go out and there's a crash or somebody gets
Yeah.
hit or hurt or
They'll
killed.
come after us.
And not to mention the fact that it's kind of one of those catch 22. It's irresponsible to have not dealt with this a long time ago, like back in the day in a different way.
Well, we
And
try.
it's even more, and I'm not saying, so I'm not saying no judgment passed here, but I am saying it's also just as irresponsible to shut it down. We've got to find another way to get it paid for. I don't know. what
I don't
that
know
is.
how.
I don't know either.
And, what I can do is,
How
I've
about
got a little bit of a lull now for Chris, our talented grant helper.
Mhm.
We can explore some options on where we can try to see if we can dig up some money either.
How about
from
the county?
or the state?
Yes.
And the county does have some 09 fund options.
Randy
And
mentioned,
it has to be something that's on the EDC list. And we do have a security aspect with a public safety scenario in there.
yeah,
The issue I'm having is as I work through with the EDC, getting applying for the EDC, is they're all due at the end of the month for the EDC forms. Going through the comprehensive scheme, we don't really have a clear line for security as a project.
That's true.
You could argue one or the other, but I don't think it's a good argument, to be honest. It's not broad enough in there.
Jeff, you had a comment there, Rick, or
We
Sorry.
approached the Development Association.
I
I don't
haven't
think
talked
so.
about it, but I have rented it to Richard Bell, but when I did, I think he gave me the impression that they don't have it.
I mean, just ask.
Yeah.
I'd say one more time. They used to have, we used to have a beautification fund. We used to have a number of things under my reign. But, you know, things.
Change.
I have one more Hail Mary there is, we've got the memorial service on
Yes,
Monday.
yeah.
I'll have a chance to talk to Dan Griffey. Maybe explain some of our situation there, see if he has some ideas.
Yeah,
You'll have
okay.
Richard Bell there too.
I will. So, that will be another option. And of course, if any of you are interested in showing up for Memorial Day
I always,
here at the fort.
I'll try to be there.
If you do, let me know because I may,
Okay,
I may have to actually post notice if we have a forum.
yeah, why don't you, just in case?
Yeah, because
I'll post
one of us
notice.
will probably show up.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll post notice just to be safe.
Okay,
Because you should be able to get a hold of the county and to have the commissioners.
They're not
County
gonna pay
commissioners.
for stuff on the state highway, probably. I've already kind of talked to Randy about it a bit. It's. He's the one that suggested going after 09 funds. So. But, it's just, it'll be on the agenda on,
So
this.
How
this
was it-
regular meeting.
was it dark before?
Choices. Yeah, of course, it was dark before they started putting in streetlights. There was one light at the corner. Originally by the DOT. What they do is they will provide a light at a corner they think is dangerous, but they're not gonna light the entire street. They leave that as the responsibility of the cities and municipalities in that area.
what time is the Memorial Day thing? Is it 11?
Starts at 11.
At 11.
It starts at
On
11.
Monday?
They do the flag raising at noon. The food and stuff comes in and they, kind of mingle from 11 till noon.
Okay,
And then there's actually an itinerary on the door that I posted.
Okay.
If you'd like to see it. Moving on, Oyster House. We're literally at a point where we're looking to do our resubmission on a few of the grants and new submissions on the other documents. I have all of them. I just need to sit down, proofread them and put them on letterhead and put those emails together. It takes some time.
okay.
Hopefully I'll have some time before the next meeting to get that done.
Be glad when we can kind of settle down so I can start working on the oyster house. Never happened, right?
Then we've got sea lion mitigation. I received some insights from Fred Feldman of the Port of Seattle. Commissioner regarding the mutual issue. It appears that specialized sprinkler systems could be the answer. With barrier protection, for our important assets on the floats. This would also have to work in conjunction with for somewhere else to go. For the sea lions to haul out. As this practice is used to warm up and regulate their body temperature. This is why they can be seen lingering on floats and docks from California to Alaska throughout the year. Sprinkler system with motion sensors can be programmed to tell the difference between human habits and sea lion habits.
I already see this getting interesting.
So in that scenario, what I'm kind of proposing is that a sea lion gets on the dock and it just sits there and it lingers, and it's a big body mass. And humans don't really do that. And they also are also lower to the ground. So those sensors could be designed to just detail that zone. And if they're there for more than 5 minutes, then they start jetting them with water. And hopefully, the idea is that would get them to move off the dock. Problem being is they will just come back if they don't have somewhere else to go.
Is it salt water or fresh water?
Well, you could get a pump and use salt water. Or you could use fresh water since we have fresh water available. Salt water would be cheaper.
Yeah.
But the pumps would go out pretty, every couple of years.
Yes.
Salt water, it just tears them up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think it'd be,
You could just buy cheap
you know,
pumps.
and again, they had a barge,
Sure.
we talked about getting a barge out there. So that they could, and it was a caged barge, so they all piled onto the barge and then they shut them and then hauled the barge off.
Yeah, and there are, I don't know if it's Fish and Wildlife or whoever that does that. They ship them back down to California.
Yeah, which we wouldn't have to do, but then, like I said, like what you said, Michael, too, I think a barge, not a small float.
If we put something else out there that. Well, they can get on that doesn't interfere with what we do, and we make it so it's uncomfortable for them to be on
RDOT.
our dock.
Uh,
Then they're more likely to say, okay, we'll go here, but here's not a good idea, because we're gonna get.
Not
Get
trying to be
sprayed,
negative.
harassed.
Now we got the tribe to deal with, put a barge out there, so I'm just saying.
Well, I
Now,
don't know if you'd have to with a barge, would you?
Because it's a transient item, like a float is considered more like a permanent thing, but I don't know. It's
Barge.
something that'll be looked into, but I don't think that we would be, having to get permits for a barge, but we probably would have to get permits for. a
No,
float.
you don't need, you can do anything, you'd be surprised. But that being said, the only reason I'd be in favor of considering a barge is because then when we chase them away, they would have a place to go, but a barge. By itself wasn't gonna be a good idea, but that sprinkler system sounds like it'd be fun, it'd be entertaining just to watch.
So I did talk to,
Are they doing that?
Brownsville, Port
Yes.
of Brownsville, and they've got extra floats they're willing to surplus.
Oh,
But
It's
of
worth
course,
it.
we'd have to pay them something for it,
Sure,
but
It-
there is an option.
it'd be worth a try at least.
sure,
I mean,
I would think so.
So, like, the Port of Allyn, the Port of Seattle has only had the problem for the last 3-4 years. And it all started when a nearby private marina installed barrier fencing along the perimeter of their floats. With the sea lions unable to haul out their previous hangout, they all took up residence at the Port of Seattle. Use of sprinklers and making room for the sea lions. Excuse me. Oh, goodness. Yeah, the use of sprinklers and making room for the sea lions to take up residence on their breakwater by using abundance of driftwood available to them. And so that they can just, get them to go somewhere else. They actually, somebody with the state actually goes around and gets a lot of this debris out of the water in that area. Because the amount of boating that goes on, so they're able just to get from that surplus all that drift.
That's
So they're
great,
gonna try to just lash it all together and tie it to their breakwater.
great,
We don't have a breakwater, so.
no,
that's not something we can do. The plans I discussed with Commissioner Feldman, he is in the process of implementing, he hasn't fully done it yet, but this is their plan that they're gonna go forward with for next year's season. So keep in touch with him and see how things are going.
Yeah, it'd be good to see if that works when they do it.
Yeah. And then, of course, Commissioner Curtin here has another option.
well, these are like gel. They're it's a certain type of gun. It's like a paintball gun, except
Oh,
it's a
okay.
little gel.
yeah,
So these are little gel with water in them. So they're a lot less toxic, there's no toxic, they just
paint or anything, yeah,
your paint, it just dissolves into the water and so it's extremely biodegradable. And it'd be an irritant to them because you're shooting them with it, and smacking them with it. So I was thinking
Oh.
about giving it a try one day and seeing if it
works,
works. Cause it's not gonna, I could sit here and shoot you with it. You'd be like, oh, well, don't do that, but it doesn't, it's nothing more, it's a toy that kids shoot each other with, so.
I'm not sure I like that idea, but. I mean, who's gonna, you can stand and watch down there, I mean, or you have maybe an automated system that shoots these things out, or.
You could do that too, cause they're battery operated.
But those break down, they're plastic though? Or-
No, they're not, it's a gel,
I,
so there's no
yeah,
plastic.
their design is a non-toxic, biodegradable option.
PFAS it is.
I don't know. I want to be very careful about how we go about this. That's all I know.
It would, yeah, it would probably be.
I'm not
important
saying
to
it's a
find
bad
out what Their
idea.
actual makeup is and just know exactly what the composition
Yeah.
is before we attempt it, but they are designed as a non-toxic biodegradable option
Yeah,
because
for kids though,
they
right?
Yeah.
typically
yeah.
a 6 millimeter BB, is
We-
the size of those.
I bet
they
you
use for
people would buy
grading.
tickets to go down there and shoot at these things.
Hey, it could be a fundraising.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Port Allen doesn't need to make the news.
Well, run speed limit.
Yeah, really.
shoot sea lions and pay for the light, keep the lights on in Allen, yeah.
Okay,
Okay, Case Inlet Fisheries Task
Ah.
Force. I attended the May 16th meeting with the task force, getting an overview of their progress on getting net pins set up in the Fair Harbor area. Planning looks to be progressing quite well. The task force should have all permitting submitted by the end of July to be able to install the first net pin no later than March 2025. A group of task force members visited a net pin operation in Alaska, Washington, learned quite a bit from the looks of the emails forwarded that I received. If any commissioners want to be set up on the email list, let me know. I'll get them on that list for the information that they provide. And they do a meeting once a month. Budget, cash forecasting and trial balance. The current accounting system doesn't quite represent the financial information in a manner that feels digestible in the current format. Aaron, Jeff, and I are working on a way to integrate Springbrook accounting software into an Excel spreadsheet format that was used to adopt the current budget.
Oh, wow.
The idea is that we can come up with a way to get our current accounting software so that we can integrate it into the simplified system of what we approved in the budget, so it's a little easier to digest.
that'd
for
be
everybody.
great.
That would be nice.
And that's a scenario where we'll probably have to work with, the office. I've talked to Natalia about some options on how to work that. She does understand how to create the codes to be able to put it into the system, but it takes a lot of time. But once you have the program set up, the next year it's just a simple integration. So it's an investment in future years as well. But the cash forecasting and the trial balance doesn't seem to actually be a report that you can run in Springbrook. I talked to one of the representatives and they said, no, it doesn't really have that. The closest thing they have is their, I think it's called a cash flow chart that doesn't actually give you the percentages until the whole year's filled up. So
Sure.
The push I'm trying to. Travis. Based upon my experience with this whole budget thing. Pretty late, is that. I don't see how the board, any board, not just the board, but any board, work this without knowing what your obligations are and where you are in it. And realistically, my opinion is that the only way the county gets around it is they got a number of bodies working the problem. And so you don't get anybody really in cahoots with anybody to do in the process. The problem is, even when I look at the counties, if you looked at, you can't really tell where you are. They give a percentage that you spent this much through, but you don't
Know where that went.
but you don't see new things coming. For example, when we had the capital facilities thing for the sewer, they were talking about rates. Nobody saw this thing coming with the Victor cutoff road when they had to do this engineering to get the line over a creek. So I asked the bishop, what about the 3 crossings in Belfair? Nobody knows. And where I'm going is not that you want to know to the nth degree where things are, but I can't see how anybody in a management position or commission position can look at, say, and in good conscience say, I obligated the report to this expense because I knew where I was.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
And I'm looking at the county and it's a bigger issue. It's got more detail and it's cleaner in one respect. And you have other bodies for checks and balances. But we'll never probably have what we had, but I hope not ever, but, we need something that's basically a trial balance that allows
Yeah.
the board to see what obligations you have coming, not just also where you are percentage wise in the fund.
Yeah.
And we need it, you know, at each month when you go through it, because I don't see how you can look at an expense and know whether you should approve it or not.
Well, I think we're on to something here.
So that's what we're trying to strive.
Right.
Now, of course, traditionally, May is the time when courts start the preliminary process for the beginning of the budget for the next year. I know we just got done doing a budget, but
Yeah.
it's time that we
Start all over
work-
again.
She basically start our preliminary process, so,
Well, yeah.
continue to utilize the Excel system provided by Jeff Perry would be my preferred method. This will continue to work hand in hand with producing a cash forecast and a trial balance documents going forward. Working with the programming between the Excel system and Springbook to get integration will take some time. I will be planning a work session sometime next month to get a handle on how the two formats can work together. And the idea is it would kind of be in an internal office work session for us in the office, Jeff and Aaron, to be able to kind of come together and see if we can start to come up with this plan to integrate what we know is easy for us to digest with the information that needs.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sure, the revenues I have in 2025 budget ready to go.
oh, okay, cool,
So it's like, as soon as you give me your reports, I'll plug the numbers.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
We're only talking 300 numbers, so
Hmm.
between the water fund and general.
And I
Okay.
suppose this could actually go along with budgeting. One of the, I guess the word is challenges for the office to put together a trial balance and cash forecasting for a month-to-month basis is the fact that we don't actually get our numbers from the county until the first Monday of every month.
right,
And our meetings are the first Monday of every
Mhm.
month. So I will definitely put it on the agenda as something to talk about, possibly considering moving our regular meeting times. So that we can handle our actual financial obligations, because we have our full reports available to us for the meetings.
it might be a little rough, it's been that way for a long time.
And
It's not
Jeff was
real.
reminding me that there was a time when they were on Wednesdays.
Really?
Yeah, he was there.
Gosh, it's just been Monday for so long,
Oh, it has.
yeah, but
I-
Wednesdays
I-
would be better.
It was
I can
like
be Thursday.
99 or 2000
Thursday?
change.
Wednesdays I have.
Great memory, just a little short,
All right.
okay,
Okay,
Next.
last bulletin point, facility maintenance, of course. Having as many facilities we do, we have got a lot of things plaguing the port. Our bathrooms right now are out of order. I did, get a Santa can, just so that we have some kind of coverage, because
so we weren't able to get toilets?
not yet. I did get a bid recently that from a local worker that came in well under everybody else.
Yeah,
And I appointed him towards getting on the small works roster. So, once he fills that out, we can hire him for about $800 less than the next lowest bid.
Well,
okay,
his quality is good though.
Well, we will find out, and
Yes,
we
we may-
will hold them to his work.
You'll hold them to the toilets.
Yeah, because I know it's been, why has it been a problem for years? What's the
The
exact issue?
the pressure that is supplied to those bathrooms has always been too high. We're
Yeah, it
talking
destroys
85 to
the-
90 pounds of pressure, and
Okay.
fixtures should only
Yeah.
have 42, 45.
So what can we do to reduce it?
That's what we're paying him to do. We're actually paying him to put a pressure reducing valve in
Like a governor.
and a filter. The filter will take care of any little tiny particulates of sand, which those type of toilets are very subject to because of the way they're designed. They don't want to see any tiny rocks or sand.
We need to change the type of toilets. we
okay,
have.
wait,
And,
Jeff? Oh,
the
sorry.
thing is once we solve the pressure issue, we're gonna go through and replace all of the fixtures. Not the toilet bowls, but the actual flushing apparatuses, because they're almost 20 years old.
Yeah.
And they're just
Yes.
worn out. Every time we replace the guts in them, it lasts for sometimes 6 months, sometimes 2 weeks. And then they just fail again.
Jeff,
Quick
another, okay,
The reason they weren't put in with regulators before is because we didn't have a tank. When those were installed.
oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
The water system has gone through several changes that have caused
Yeah.
just
In other words,
damage to
you
our.
only had 60 pounds or 50 pounds there, now
Yeah,
you
that's
have
true.
94.
Okay, great.
I've never seen a problem with too much pressure, so it's been the opposite in my.
Don't even start the.
Okay, so our North Shore ramp
That's
floats, Tom Olson of Tom Farmer Oysters mentioned this month that he has some concerns about the threads at the North Shore boat launch. A North Shore boat launch to float. After taking a look, I absolutely agree with the assessment. The only economical solution is to add wood treads to the surface of the float, about every 8 to 10 inches. So that, users can get some traction. We can't, some of the ways we used to do it before was put asphalt roofing down, various other things. Those are all no-nos.
Yeah,
We
those
can't.
don't last either.
That's the only solution that's going to be environmentally sensitive. We would actually cut all those up and have them pre-cut here, on site here, and then take them over there, so there's a dust or anything like that. And just get them nailed down. We do have an amount of material that can be cut up for that already purchased.
Okay.
Don's gonna get a materials list of how much more we need to buy. The playground has not seen any maintenance since it was installed. So the wood chips are completely ground down and need more to be added to provide the necessary protection. The pea gravel is very thin in areas, and some of the bordering spruce beams are rotting away. This is a perfect place to attract 09 funds from the county to work on the public safety and security projects. Of course, I've also mentioned that it doesn't really tie into our community. So
Could we get donations from Peninsula?
yep, you could talk to Peninsula Topsoil and see if they'd be willing to donate.
Okay. Jeff, who's the,
Just a side note, I wouldn't approach it this year, but just put it on the list of things to do. Normally nowadays it appears because Sheila Holmes wanted to have me donate lot, to put green space on and playground equipment, but I said, no, not because I'm against the playground, but all that. The issue is this, if you guys you have to put it under third-party maintenance source. Because you have a public use it, and you have to have this. There's a reg somewhere that came across that whether you're private or public, you start having public use it, still you have to have it. An annual or there's different depending on what the equipment is, but a lot of them are active use equipment. And so if we haven't done that, it's probably something we migrated to the process.
And I know that was all donated
yeah,
originally.
the whole thing was.
And was there a kind of like a group that had planned on doing maintenance on it over?
No, not really.
No, the one shot one.
Yeah,
Well, we will, that'll be something that the office looks into.
okay,
North Shore fencing at the launch, or fencing at the launch on the North Shore. The fencing bordering Earl Eddings property has been repaired in the past by the port. I still am yet to, get time to investigate the records to get a handle on what the port's responsibility is at this, late stage of the life of the fence's lifespan. Mr. Eddings has voiced concern about the condition of the height and height of the fence. I would recommend getting a professional opinion on its life expectancy and replacement information to work with Mr. Eddings on his expectations going forward.
yeah, that's
Oh.
great.
Is there somewhere where it's written down that's our responsibility?
So I have to look further into our, our documents that I do know Jessfield Construction has done repairs on that since I was part of Jessfield Construction for many years. But it was before my time, but I do know that they have done repairs on it. So if they had, then the port has paid for maintenance on that fence, and it was mentioned that the former owner, Birdie Shaw, had something
Yeah.
in the minutes about the port taking care of maintenance on it, but maintenance doesn't necessarily include replacement.
Right, or that we own it.
Right. So
But
If we don't own the fence,
So,
then
yeah, let us know what you find.
yeah,
and then
there's
we
gonna
can
be some
kinda-
serious digging there to trying to get down to the, a
And-
solution there because. You can see that Mr. Eddie is very interested in finding out what we were willing to do about the
Yeah.
situation.
Because in there, is the fence on our side of the property or on his?
Don't know exactly where the property line is, but I would assume it was put on the property line, and I believe it is the.
Don't make that,
I believe it isn't, I don't believe it's the court step.
I don't think anything's on the property line anywhere in this county.
There's some.
The big issue
There
that,
may be
that
exceptions.
Earl
Yeah.
has with the fencing scenario is that at a point in time, the port raised the parking lot
Oh, sure, 'cause
over
we
the
filled it in,
original
yeah,
height.
that's
And
right,
when we did that, it basically lowered the fence
right.
and
So he wants it taller than,
does, but I don't know how much taller you can get it under county regulation.
well, 6 foot. Is it
And
6 foot?
it's 6 foot in its current format, yes, it is.
Oh, I see.
It would just.
So
be
he
the same
wants a
height.
10 footer. Okay. Well,
The-
10
the-
foot's
The only
reasonable.
solution that, has been approached is moving the fence on top of the current port height.
Yeah, we don't wanna do that.
Which
Then
Yeah.
it becomes all of our responsibility.
that's also, kind of changing property lines. and such
Yes.
By doing that.
Like some
Go ahead.
concept, every day you have your list. From me as a public. Observation. We got a lot of things, the board has a lot of things to do. And I would, at some point, think the board should consider a priority for Travis on how to work things. Because I'm watching him get things like crazy.
Yeah,
Things. And what I mean by that is, there's things that are important, in other words, your revenues that come in,
Yeah.
your taxes are important. Then there's a hierarchy of these things that are important, i.e. water, facilities, and what have you. And then, you have to do obviously public records. But what I'm trying to get at is, get a kind of an outline.
a
So
priority.
he's got- Because what happens, I've driven by here. It's fine for me privately to work till 7:30.
Sometimes on here.
I dropped it on him one time at, 7:50, 7:20.
Oh, it's totally the value. I remember having that work session with Larry, that meeting, and that's what I brought up. We've gotta have priorities. And there are just some things you're not gonna put much energy into, and there's other
Sure.
things we have to, and those will change over a period
Yes.
of a season,
One thing,
I'm not asking you to just consider anything at this moment.
Yeah.
But I, as a citizen, would like to, I'll give my input to Travis. And at least the board has started looking at that, because you only have one you have full-time in Travis. I don't know, on Don, is he?
Don's about 2/3 time.
He's 2/3, and then you have.
Justine,
Justine, which is not even half that 18 hours.
And I'm not saying hire more, I'm
And
really saying
evaluate.
is, look at what we got, because we only got budgets till 7:20. And prioritize, and then have him, like, question the board, in my mind, the board should be asking him is, what's not working?
yeah,
Because-
true.
Because we're in a very tight situation here with budgets and all the activities we got going. Right there, and I'm not saying right or wrong.
And then give you a hand.
Yeah, we could always do that. But what I would suggest is that if the board, could, think of 5 priorities to you.
Yeah.
And to where you'd like to see the port move in those directions. And give me those 5 priorities at the regular meeting.
I think the Sweetwater project needs to be
And then,
put on
and then we can rate them
hold. for a
and
while.
you can put a order of task for myself.
Sure,
And then
absolutely.
anything that lies outside of that would be things that. If there's an emergency, of course, I'm taking care of that issue.
There's
But
always fires.
but
coming up.
there'll always be that I can't touch any of that until. There's a moment where I've got room to breathe.
One thing I'd like to see is train Justine to be our public records officer. Or at least somebody to be a separate, where they're
Sure.
not being inundated, and start getting them training. I think that's really critical.
I agree.
So,
But I've talked to him about that, I think I understand how that's supposed to work,
mhm,
and, I mean, my brother about how it should. Yeah. there's no reason it can't be delayed as long as you're monitoring and giving reasonable reasons. Because you're, you know, $200 per person work full time. And some of these things, like he was asking me about preparing all this. I have no problem that you can't send all this stuff out. It's not like the county where they can prepare 313 pages for a briefing
Right, yeah.
and have.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
but John, go ahead and go and thank you. Yeah,
We could close the meeting.
we can. Okay, well, one thing I would like you to bring up for the next meeting is the memorial for Leanne. We need to talk about that. Because I'm getting questions about when.
It's the 22nd.
Yeah, I know, but logistics.
Okay. Dawn has a lot of those that will coordinate with Dawn.
Okay,
Either.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
So are we pretty much done then, or you wanna?
No,
Yeah,
I think
board
we,
report.
we basically did, the briefing with the workshop internet.
Make a motion, we adjourn this meeting.
I'll
I
second.
see ya.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks, John. All right, meeting adjourned.
Meeting adjourned.
There we go. Thank you so much.